What's up, guys? Welcome. Today we are going to be going over some stash players for the 2024 Dynasty offseason. If you haven't been to the channel before, I'm Sam. Please follow, subscribe, go to my Twitter, follow literally anything. It means so much to me. And I'm really just trying to grow this channel, and I need as much help as possible from you guys. So please share it with your friends. Tell them to check it out. Take my advice. Everything. It means so much. So stash players, some guys that are either crazy cheap to acquire or may just be on your waiver wire, depending on how deep your league is. So first off today, number one stash player for the offseason. How about Davis Allen, tight end for the Rams? Got a small amount of run with Tyler Higbee being out earlier. Then he kind of worked in as a tight end too, blocking tight end. But he made a couple splash plays. He had a good game. And Tyler Higbee hurt his ACL right in that playoff game against the Lions, tore his ACL, so he's probably going to be coming back slow. Let's see if Davis Allen can take over that role next year. Now, this is not a likely outcome. They can obviously sign someone, draft someone, but that's why these are stash players, and I think it could work out. Get Davis Allen on the back end of your bench and see what happens. Stash player number two for today, Melton, wide receiver on the Packers. Had a couple big plays for the Packers with Jordan Love there at quarterback. Now, the Packers wide receiver room is absolutely stacked. Melton was on a one-year deal, though, so let's see if he can find himself a spot to be maybe a wide receiver 3 on a team. He's a super speedy guy. I want to say he ran like a 4.3 something. So I could maybe see him finding a role on a team as that speed guy, maybe work in, and if all goes right, he could find himself to be maybe a dynasty wide receiver 4, have some spike weeks, and potentially work into your flex position next year. Now, the next two, I'm going to have two different categories. So category one of some stash players. How about RB2s currently that could be the handcuff going into next year, just based on kind of a uncertain backfield they're in. That's going to be Chris Rodriguez of Washington, right? Antonio Gibson is leaving. Rodriguez looked decent when he did get the ball in his hands. He's still behind Brian Robinson, and I wouldn't be surprised if they add a third guy. But just for a stash player, I like kind of putting Rodriguez on the back end of my bench. Next, Kevin Harris of the Patriots. Just Ramondre Stevenson ahead of him. So if they go into next season with just those two running backs, he finds himself as a handcuff. I don't think Harris is an immense talent, but he looks okay when he gets the ball. And, it really doesn't take much other than touches to make some of these handcuffs relevant for 4 to 5 week stretches. Last RB for the day. How about Eric Gray of the Giants? I did actually like his tape. He just was stuck behind Saquon Barkley, right? And I'm kind of projecting Barkley to leave. They probably bring someone in, but maybe the split is a little closer to 50-50 with Eric Gray, and he finds himself maybe in that Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb split from earlier this season. And we all saw how that worked out. Sometimes you can find yourself a role with one injury away. So I think those three running backs aren't the worst guys to put on the back end of your bench. And now I'm going to go over three wide receivers that are kind of just forgotten veteran wide receivers that could either be on new teams or they're going to be with their same team but could just reprise their role. First off, Curtis Samuel of the Washington Commanders as well. Samuel going to be a free agent. I still think he's got some juice. Could settle into a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 role on a new team. And if that team happens to be pass happy, that could be fantasy relevant, right? Curtis Samuel has actually produced some decent fantasy numbers over the last couple years. Next, Zay Jones of the Jaguars. I was a big Zay Jones fan 2 seasons ago. He was really just kind of hurt with injury this year, so we really didn't get to see much of him. But he's a good downfield threat for Trevor Lawrence. And if he's healthy next year, I could definitely see him having some spike weeks, being a wide receiver 3. Good guy to have around for bye weeks, etc. Last guy, Tyler Boyd. I think Tyler Boyd's going to be an interesting one. Maybe he re-signs cheap with the Bengals if T. Higgins leaves, or maybe he just finds himself as a solid veteran receiver on a new team, being that slot guy. He's kind of floated around wide receiver 30 to 40 the last couple years, and that's a totally usable asset for your dynasty team. Now, he's not going to be winning you any championships, but it's nice to have depth and guys that are good, solid NFL players around. And I really think these guys are pretty cheap, or they may even be on your waiver wire and forgotten. So those are my guys for today. Go get them as stashes for the 2024 season. And if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, follow. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in.